Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and blasttheradio.com, this is The Lowell Green Show. The number to call and be heard around the world is 613-413-2217. Or email Lowell at blasttheradio.com. And now, here is Lowell Green.
Just a moment, I'm going to issue a dire warning to farmers. We have a prime minister and an environment minister, Stephen Guilbeault, who has pretty well destroyed the energy industry, made it impossible for about 1/3 of Canadians to buy Canadian oil or gas. Now they are prepared to do it with food. As you know, Trudeau is going to go ahead with his plan to force farmers to reduce the use of fertilizer 30%, which essentially means that crops, probably food crops, for the most part, will be reduced by about 30%. But it doesn't end there. I've done a lot of research. Stephen Guilbeault makes it very plain that his goal, the goal of this government, is not just to reduce food crops, but to reduce livestock. In fact, Stephen Guilbeault has said we have to move to a non-livestock lifestyle. In fact, let me give you a direct quote from Stephen Guilbeault. Quote, "The answer to the climate crisis can be found in the fields." So not happy, not content with destroying the energy industry, they now are out to destroy agriculture. I just issued this warning, and I will have a lot more information in a moment. But I want to deal with something else first. But I'm going to tell you, farmers, right now, you'd better start paying attention here. You'd better start paying attention, because I'm telling you, Stephen Guilbeault, this man is a madman. He is so radical. This guy is, I think some people would say he's nuts. His goal is to wipe out the production of all livestock, which I gather would include beef, pork, poultry. And if they're going to reduce vegan food by 30%, we will obviously, just as we have to do with oil and gas, go to foreign markets for our food. That's what's, folks, I'm not making this up. If you do the research, you'll see it. Just all you have to do is Google Stephen Guilbeault livestock. See what he says. See what the goal is. Their eventual goal is to wipe out livestock production in this country. In the meantime, I have to deal with something else, but it actually relates to this. Maxime Bernier, that son of a bitch. He cost the Conservatives several ridings in the last election. Some people say that they believe that he, in fact, cost the Conservatives the election. Now he's going to do it again, or try to. He's launched an all-out attack on Pierre Poilievre, calling himself, that is, Maxime Bernier, as the only true Conservative in the running. And he is very busy recruiting supporters. He was in Winnipeg this morning. What do you think of this? What's the matter with this guy? What's the matter with people who support this? I mean, Maxime Bernier and the supporters know he can't win. He can't come close to winning, but he can do severe damage to the Conservatives and in the process aid and abet in the continuation of the most destructive leadership we have ever had. That would be Justin Trudeau and Stephen Guilbeault. All he can do, he can't win. He knows that. All he can do is take votes away from the Conservatives, perhaps even cost them the election. He says he's the only real Conservative in the race, but that's an outrageous lie. Pure nonsense. There's absolutely no question that Pierre Poilievre is a true Conservative in every sense and always has been. And it can be argued that at least one of the other candidates, Leslyn Lewis, is even more Conservative than Pierre Poilievre. So what does Maxime Bernier have to gain by running, except some kind of revenge against the Conservative Party, which didn't choose him as leader? Remember that? That's what this is all about. Sour grapes of the worst order that could have a very damaging effect on the entire country. Bernier revenge could very well ensure another 4 years for Justin Trudeau, put him back in power. I believe if Trudeau goes back into power for another 4 years, the economy of this country will be ruined for generations. Trudeau, and here I get, once again, I want to get into the business of agriculture. Not content with destroying the oil and gas industry, wreaking havoc on our airports, passports, scandals, etc. Now he is launching a full frontal, all-out attack on farmers, on agriculture. He plans to go ahead. Most people thought, oh, he'll back down. When he sees what's going to happen by reducing fertilizers 30%, he's going to reduce the production of food that is desperately needed, not just in this country. We need food security, and there's no reason why we can't have so-called food security in this country. But we need to be able to supply other people as well. Agriculture is a major, major industry. So he still plans to go ahead with this. But and I want to repeat this, Environment Minister Guilbeault says we must end livestock production. He says that has to be our goal. And I'm going to tell you, he has a lot of support in the environmentalists. The environmentalists have turned away. They're not nearly, it doesn't seem concentrating nearly as much on oil and gas because we see what happened in Europe, et cetera, et cetera. So now the goal is agriculture. And you're going you're going to see more and more attacks here. The answer to the climate crisis can be found in the fields. Stephen Guilbeault, second in command. Well, some would say he's totally in command. Very clearly, he has the ear of the Prime Minister, Environment Minister Stephen Guilbeault, second most dangerous man in the country. The answer to the climate crisis can be found in the fields. I thought the answer to the climate crisis could be found in oil and gas. I thought that was the answer. I thought the answer was windmills and solar panels. Apparently not. Apparently now it's farmers. You farmers are the ones who are destroying the climate. And Maxime Bernier is going to aid and abet that. Going to aid and abet Justin Trudeau in his destructive goals. I'm going to tell you right now, if Trudeau is not checked, he could very well destroy the economy of this country for generations. And Maxime Bernier going to try and help him do just that for no other reason than pure, raw revenge. Revenge, pure and simple. What a trio. Well, actually, let's make that a foursome in this country. Trudeau, Singh, Guilbeault, and Bernier out to destroy the country. Your comments, please. John, let's go through how people get in touch with us.
All right, and I've got a question on that, but first, yes, please, we want your comments on this. So on Facebook, either The Lowell Green, Milkman Show, or Blast the Radio, and it's Blast the Radio on YouTube, on Twitch, and on Twitter as well. Your texts and your phone calls are welcome at 613-413-2217. Okay, so Guilbeault says the answer to this is in the fields.
In the fields.
Why? So we're talking about cattle, we're talking about poultry, we're talking about pigs. Yeah. This is natural life. How is natural life on this planet, live beings, how is that?
Well, the story has been spread for some time. This is a growing story that livestock, because of the methane primarily.
Cow farts.
Yeah, well, and the manure and so forth. But there's more than that. What they are saying, in addition to, now they've expanded this, they're saying, well, they are eating, and what they're saying in effect is not only the methane, but they are eating the vegans' crops. That they are, there's an argument now about all of the grassland it takes to produce, for example, a gallon of milk, a pound of beef, all of the grass that's got to be consumed. That according to the environmentalists, that grass could be used to grow corn or some other food that people could eat directly. It's a very convoluted argument, but it has growing roots and obviously growing belief. Let's face it. I mean, the environmentalists. I mean, some of these people are just they don't pay any attention to reality whatsoever. Look at what they have done. I mean, look at what they've done in Europe, for goodness sake. Look what they've done now. By the way, I know people get sick and tired of this, but just to give you an example, they're claiming that all of the energy should come from wind and solar, and I guess falling water. Right now, 1 o'clock. A lot of people have their air conditioning on. Ontario is burning, or was, 19,366 megawatts of power. Folks, wind was producing. Honest, go once again. Don't believe. Go to IESO.ca. This is the site that tells you exactly how much power is being used, where it's being produced. 19,366 megawatts at 1 p.m. Wind at that time was producing 125. That wouldn't be enough to supply carp. Not anywhere near. Solar, 368. Combined, wind and solar at 1 o'clock today, after spending between $8 and $10 billion at 1 o'clock today, wind and solar combined, 2.6% of our needs. And this is what Stephen Guilbeault and Justin Trudeau say we are going to have to live with. 30% less food, this is their goal, and no livestock of any kind. Folks, I'm not making this up. It's all there. They have made these statements very plain. They want to essentially they've pretty well wiped out the energy industry. Now you say, well, they wouldn't do that. The fact of the matter is that Guilbeault, Trudeau, and the environmentalists have made it impossible for about 1/3 of all Canadians unable to buy Canadian oil and gas. So if they're prepared to do that, force people in the Maritimes and in Quebec to buy foreign oil and gas, I suppose they're prepared to do the same with food. We can buy our food from where? The United States? I don't know if you can buy food from Saudi Arabia, which is where we get a lot of our gas and oil. But folks, that's what we're dealing with here. You farmers, not just farmers, because you know what? I don't know if this comes as news to you, but you eat farm products. Virtually everything you eat has been produced somewhere on a farm. Go ahead, John. What reaction are we getting? Does anybody care about it?
Oh my God, Lowell, this is insane right now, the feedback. So yeah, I got a lot of questions on this, but I kind of hogged the show yesterday. So over to the listener.
Well, ask me one question.
Well, I did already, so I've had my turn. So James says they even have ads for, I shit you not, climate police. Apparently there are ads for the climate police.
Well, actually, just to show you how serious this is, Saskatchewan, the Premier of Saskatchewan, Mo, is threatening a lawsuit against the federal government. The federal government apparently has been sending inspectors to go onto private land, trespass on private Saskatchewan land to take soil samples. Well, the reason for this is to back up their argument about reducing fertilizer. So Mo says, you're trespassing on private land. We're going to arrest anybody and this would be a federal agent. We're going to arrest anybody that's caught trespassing. That's how serious this is, folks. I'm not making this up. This is all happening right now. Go ahead, John.
I think it was David who on Facebook the other day sent me video from, I guess the Prime Minister was in, I want to say Nova Scotia or New Brunswick, somewhere in the East Coast, for some energy announcement. More wind turbines were going to be installed. Green energy was the future. And in the background were about 30 of the existing wind turbines. Not a single one of them was moving the entire time during the press conference. It was insanity.
Well, folks, I'm not making this up. At 1 o'clock today, wind and solar combined on a beautiful day, 2.6% of our needs. This is what they tell us is the future. Go ahead, John, please.
613-413-2217. Haven't had a chance to screen the call, but we do have a caller. Go ahead. You're on live with Lowell Green. Can we get your name to start things off, please?
John and Lowell, this is Jace.
Oh, here we go.
Hi, Jace.
Come on in.
Let's have another go here.
You and I can argue all day about things, but I got to tell you, this overstepping of their bounds by the federal government and Guilbeault with what he's talking about with livestock, this is dangerous. This is crazy.
Yes, it is.
I just want to. Like, how do they have the right to trespass on private land to take soil samples? Like, where did this come in?
Well, I mean, Mo says we're going to arrest anybody caught trespassing. This is the federal government, sending in spies in effect. But people. Go ahead.
It blows me away. Like, how does this guy think that livestock is the major contributor to greenhouse gases in Canada? Like, this is nuts.
Well, it's the fact that they're eating vegan food too. That seems to be the new argument now. But I just want to point out one thing. I'm going to stress again. For those people who don't think, oh, he's not going to reduce food and so forth, I just want to point out he did this to energy. It is now impossible in half of Quebec and all of the maritime provinces to buy Canadian oil or gas because of Trudeau. Trudeau has deprived people in Eastern Canada the right to buy Canadian gas and oil. Trudeau did this with gas and oil. Why would he not do it with food? He says he will.
This man has to be stopped. This man had to be stopped now, Lowell. This is crazy.
Thank you for the call, Jace. You and I agree on this one anyway. Thank you.
Yes,
what else have we got, John, here?
All right. Lowell, like I've said it before, we can't keep up with the comments. This takes the cake today. The Fed should be charged with bioterrorism for trespassing on farmland, says Coraline. Michael says the ongoing green energy scam, virtue science, is replacing real science. The radical environmentalists need to be stopped. Another Michael says, you make a great point. I was on the west side of the province on Lake Huron, and the same thing. Windmills, tons of them, none spinning.
Oh, yeah. I just want to point out that I'm also raising the issue of Maxime Bernier. I'd like some comment on that.
We do have those. Yep.
All Maxime Bernier is going to do is help Trudeau win the next election. He can't possibly win. He's only doing this out of revenge. And my contention is that in doing this, he is harming the country for no reason. If he thought he had a chance to win, different story. He knows he doesn't. It's pure revenge. I'm telling you, he cost the Conservatives several seats. Some people say he cost the Conservatives the last election. Go ahead, John.
That seems to be the consensus right now regarding Maxime Bernier. And my first thought when you brought him up in your opening remarks was that this is just more evidence that there are far too many people in politics, not exclusively, but far too many who have no interest in us and have everything. They're all in for themselves. It is completely selfish.
No question.
Yep.
Pure revenge. They didn't elect him as leader of the party. And so this is his revenge on the Conservative Party.
To what end, though? What does he gain from this?
It almost makes you wonder if he is being funded by the Liberals. I'm not suggesting that he is, but I mean, where is he
Somebody
getting his
has suggested that in the comments, by the way.
Yeah. Where is he getting his money? He was out in Winnipeg recruiting people there. And of course, the other question is, why would anybody who really cares about the country vote for this? Why would they support this guy's party and take votes away from the Conservatives? Go ahead, John, please.
Our heads are so far up our collective asses right now. It is frightening. Okay, here's a comment regarding Maxime Bernier via text, 613-413-2217. Mad Max is just that, mad. He has the extremist vote, which empowers him. They follow him because of Trudeau and Guilbeault taking away their jobs and freedoms. Pierre needs to double down on his promises of freedom and to bring the economy back to the way it was.
The thing is that in the last election, it could be argued that the Conservative leader was not really a conservative. I mean, he was more leftist. But there is no way that anybody could claim that Pierre Poilievre is not a dyed-in-the-wool conservative. He always has been. That's very plain. So the idea that, well, we can't vote for the Conservatives because they're being led by a Liberal, I'm going to tell you, Pierre Poilievre is not a Liberal. Go ahead, please, John. Sorry, I gotta get a word in here for sure.
All right.
Once again, folks, here we are dealing with a local dealer, been in business since 1947, same family, great product, and now they now have the Sony dealership, and they have a lot of Sony products. So if you're in the market for Sony products, please, once again, just as I say with appliances, at least give Shields a chance. They're good people, honest people, very good deals, very good finance plans, whether it's appliances or Sony. Shields.ca. Go ahead, John, please.
All right. Like I said, we've got a lot of comments coming into YouTube. And Dan says, petroleum is toxic to the environment. Let's go emissions free. Craig says, I was waiting for that.
Supplanted by what? Replaced by what? What? Tell me, please. Okay. Now, I demand. Who wrote that? Who wrote that?
That was Dan on YouTube.
Okay, Dan. Okay, that's fine. We'll accept your comment. But presumably you have an alternative. What would that be? If we're not going to burn fossil fuels, what would we burn?
Wind, of course. Yeah.
What happens? Okay, Dan. What happens when the wind doesn't blow? Today in Ontario, the wind is not blowing. I mean, we have, 41 wind farms, and they're producing only 125 megawatts, not enough to power carp. In fact, 125 megawatts would hardly power a local restaurant. Go ahead, please, John.
Okay, so the city of Ottawa has apparently I'm not sure if this is passed. I got to ask you because you are in the know on this stuff. The $60 billion climate plan for the city of Ottawa, where we're going to set aside a chunk of land for more wind turbines and solar farms. Has that actually passed, or is that just on the table with the outgoing council? Or have you not heard of it?
I haven't heard of it.
Right.
I mean, we're spending a lot of money on the environment, diesel, electric buses, etc. The light rail. I haven't heard that.
Joseph Benami is running in Knoxdale Ward, I think, for the next election, and in one of his campaign videos, he talked about this. So I'll go to him and find out where that's at, and I'll get back to you on that. All right, text.
Can I tell you something? Nothing surprised me anymore.
Wow.
These people, these environmentalists, for the most part, are absolutely nuts, crazy. Go ahead.
To text, does Klaus Schwab control everybody? It's like a drug dealer. Can the leaders of these countries and Bill Gates get out? Do they really believe it's for the good of humanity, this WEF? On their website, it looks like cult. And even if we just mention it, we are conspiracy theorists.
Well, you know what? I think we should lay the blame where it rests. The blame lies not with Carl Schwab or whatever his name is. It rests with the leadership of this country, okay? Pierre Trudeau, or Justin Trudeau, Singh, Jagmeet Singh. That's where it rests. Let's place the responsibility where it should be, right here locally in Ottawa. Go ahead, John.
Boy, we got emails, texts, social media comments. Coraline says, Whiner Jimmy Watson wants to put up 700 wind turbines in our rural Ottawa. So there you go. Where there's smoke, there's fire.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, I'm going to get you some information on that, Lowell.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Where there's smoke, there's fire on that. Okay, email from Robert in Carleton Place. So the Liberals have been telling us the alternative to oil and gas is wind and solar. We have seen how that is working out. Has Guilbeault provided us with an alternative to food? Surely people have to wake up from their slumber soon and realize what a fraud this all is.
Well, actually, the alternative is away from meat. And in fact, let's be very honest. It's not just the government. There's a lot of marketing now about plant-based hamburgers. I think you can go into Harvey's now and get a non-beef burger, can't you? So this is going, folks, we got to start paying attention here. This is going just beyond the government. This is now into industry. You can buy all kinds of plant-based products out there. I saw something this morning. Oh, I'm going to tell you something. Even we got Lysol. Now it says it's plant-based. So this,
what?
Honest to God. So this is what's happening. The change is incremental, but well, I'm telling you, I saw it this morning on the.
I'm not seeing plant-based, but I'll read it closer later. Oh my gosh. Ay. Over to Eileen. Bernier left important papers in his girlfriend's apartment, and Harper took his portfolios away on him. So, yep, that is absolute revenge. David says a wind turbine farm was proposed near North Gore. That was years ago, though. Lots of resistance to that poor decision. Yeah, but there's something new afoot there, David. Michelle says Guilbeault's meat alternative is crickets. By the way, that is part of the agenda, too. No, that's a thing.
Yeah, they're talking about bugs. But no, it's the emphasis is going to be more and more on plant-based. No more meat. It's going to be soya meat, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, but how do you say to Canadians, we're going to cut back on cows and poultry and pork, but at the same time, say we're going to move you to a plant-based diet and then cut back on 30% of fertilizer so we can't grow enough plants to feed the country.
It's a hell of a question, isn't it?
Like it's not adding up in my simple little mind here, Lowell.
It's a hell of a question.
All right, well thanks. I'm not the most well-educated person, but I mean, it seems pretty obvious to me that that's a hell of a question to ask.
Well, I hope a few liberals would ask the same question of their leadership. Go ahead, John.
Kellyanne says, I just think Bernier is a distraction, and if you vote PPC, you vote for the Liberals again.
Well, yeah, that's the point. That's the point. He's doing this out of revenge. And as I say, he cost the Conservatives several seats. He could very well cost the Conservatives the next election. The fact of the matter is that every vote for Bernier helps Trudeau. Let's be honest. Go ahead.
Keep spreading the word about this conversation. It happens daily here on blasttheradio.com. It's even easier for you to find us now at wbtr.ca.
Share.
There you go. Share. This is an important conversation. Back to text. People in Germany have been told by the government to use firewood to heat their homes this winter as Russia is threatening to cut natural gas supply. Radical environmentalists are sending us into a stone age.
Well, it's the radical environmentalists in Germany that have done this. There's no question about it. She shut down 2 or 3 nuclear plants, and they built windmills everywhere. But guess what? The wind didn't blow, and it's not blowing in Germany. So they got to buy all of this oil and gas from Russia. Russia says we're going to cut back on this. So yeah, maybe they will have to. But one of the tragedies is that in many places they're reverting to coal. So they have gone from nuclear, for where there is no emissions, to coal, which is the dirtiest of all. The environmentalists must understand what they have done here. Go ahead, John.
And says, I guess the goal is to have China supply the world's food. To YouTube, and Boo Boo's posted this a couple times. I guess, Boo Boo, I see you. Petroleum, agriculture, including livestock and crops, are vital to our existence. Trudeau and Guilbeault are complete idiots. Only the Liberals can try something like this. Screw them.
Yeah, but that's not good enough. I mean, that's all very well. You can screw them and all that. But let's understand what's happening here, and take a serious look at this and start talking to our neighbors and others who aren't paying attention and say, hey, this government wants to cut back food production and wants to stop livestock production. Tell your neighbors this. You might even write a letter to the editor, for God's sake. Go ahead, John.
Or to your MP. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Get politically active.
We have to get involved, folks.
We do.
We just can't continue to allow this.
100 letters, you say, is all it takes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, here's one to the show from Paul in Canada. Hi, Lowell. I looked up Liberal plan, quote unquote, to reduce emissions by about 40% by 2030. And this nice full color plot shows almost all sectors reducing emissions by 40%. The odd thing about the agriculture sector plan in particular is not only will it go down, but it is shown as long as going below zero emissions by 2030. My guess is the fertilizer and livestock plan is just the beginning. Good luck to our farmers and everybody who eats food.
Folks, we got to start paying attention before it's too late. It's a little late in Germany. A little late. Well, John, we're right out of time here. You know what? Please share the program, okay? That's all we ask. We don't charge you or anything. It's just share. Just push the share button. Spread the message. That's if you can't write or phone or anybody, all you have to do is push share and you'll spread the message. We would really appreciate it. So would the country. Thank you. We'll be back.
The Lowell Green Show is seen and heard live around the world at 2 p.m. Eastern. Connect with us online at blasttheradio.com/Lowell Green. Can't join us live? Download the Lowell Green podcast. Available on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Ask your smart speaker to play the Lowell Green podcast. This is a production of blasttheradio.com.